What's going on, Kicks Gang? It's He Kicks back with another dope sneaker unboxing, and I'm super excited to be bringing this pair to you guys. This pair has actually been released for the last couple weeks. I actually did double up on this pair. Things have been crazy. I went through a period where I was sick for a couple of weeks, and then I basically picked up so many sneakers that I couldn't even remember which sneakers I had reviewed, which sneakers I hadn't. But this is a super dope sneaker. The particular model of the sneaker is definitely one of my favorites, and I just wanted to get into that and give you guys a quick review. We won't get too in depth because I know you guys have already seen this model, but I do want to give you my version of the review, and I wanted to show you a couple of differences and a couple of things that you can use to authenticate, and some things that I want to show you guys that don't necessarily mean that your pairs aren't authentic. So basically what had happened is I had gotten the pair and I had realized that there were some major differences, and when I had gotten the very first pair, it kind of threw me off. But when I had gotten a different colorway of this model, I had noticed that if you had gotten it from Adidas, it was one way. If you had gotten it from Eastbay, it was a different way. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the review. Of course, it is a Adidas. Like I had said, it's the Adidas Yeezy 350 V2 in the static colorway. And as you guys can see, we've got the label, the tag, and the sizing here. Of course, we've got the 350 on the top, the Boost on the lateral side, and of course additional Adidas and Yeezy branding on the far side. Let me go ahead and open these up. I'm going to go ahead and pull both of these out of the paper so that I don't tear the paper and do damage to the packaging. And bang, bang, the Yeezy 350 V2 static. And I am, as always, super excited to have this in the collection. And I have to say, this is a really, really dope model. Definitely one of my favorites. I've been very, very fortunate and lucky on Yeezy supply. Unfortunately, when the reflective version of the sneaker had come out, I actually was not able to get it. And then I was looking at some of the settings and some of the things on my internet, and I realized that my internet was actually down at the time, and I was running off of a much lower speed internet. As I've talked about in previous videos with you guys, I have some of the fastest internet that you can get. It's basically a terabyte per second. It's called gig speed internet, and I actually just heard that they have 2,000 gigabit per second internet, which I'm thinking about upgrading to. But yeah, I'm not sure that that's exactly what happened, but it was definitely harder to get the static version, so it could have been that. But I mean, I've honestly got everything super optimized when it comes to Yeezy supply. I have all my notifications set up, auto refresh, all my autofill settings. So the second I get onto Yeezy supply, I can basically just click checkout and check out again without having to do the CAPTCHA or adding any of my information. And another tip for those of you guys that are going for the Yeezys, one of the things that I do is I'll actually go on and take another cheap item. The reason I do a cheap item is just in case I make a mistake, but like a cheap pair of socks, you basically go on, add that to cart, make sure that all your autofill information, credit card information is set. You get all the way as far as you can, basically to the point right before checking out, and then you don't check out. You actually go ahead and refresh that page and you pull that out of your cart. That way when the actual pair releases, you can add that to cart. All your information will be completely auto-filled, and then you just have to hit checkout. So like I said, I pretty much have optimized every portion or every part of the Yeezy supply pickups and was not able to get the reflective pair. So I said no big deal, and I went and I doubled up on this particular pair. And that's where I noticed some differences that I wanted to talk with you guys about. I got a pair from Adidas, and then I got a pair from Eastbay. Also too, I noticed on the frozen yellow pair, I had gotten a pair from Yeezy supply and then another pair from Foot Locker, and I had noticed some differences there. And these are basically differences between manufacturing plants, differences between different foot shops, and for the most part, you're gonna see everything's gonna be completely the same, but there were some differences that I did notice, and I wanted to bring those differences to you guys, because for a second there, I was actually kind of worried, thinking like, did Eastbay send me like a bunk pair? Is this like foo-foo? Like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, when it comes to Yeezys, I am really spot on with Authentication. Not to say that it's impossible for something to get by me, but it's pretty darn hard. So I went in, I did a lot of investigating, I did a lot of research, and I was able to find a little extra detail that I want to bring to you guys. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into a quick review. We'll go ahead and start off with the bottom like we always do. We have that milky, rigid outsole, which actually wraps around up into the midsole. And then of course, we've got that really nice, soft, cloud-like boost material. And then on the side, we've got a very similar pattern to the zebra pattern. Of course, the zebras come all the way across. And you can see here the stripes and checks that come through are definitely finer and more pronounced. And you can see there's definitely a lot more detail when it comes to those stripes. Another thing I liked is you can see the pattern changes. As you can see, the stripes are going downwards here, they're going upwards here, and then it changes all the way around on the silhouette. And then you've got that other big stripe that comes around, and it's just something totally different that we've seen on a V2. And then of course, flipping around to the lateral side, of course, a big difference. We have that translucent portion of the upper here, which is really neat. Any color you wear for socks underneath is going to show up through that translucent stripe, but it's kind of cool because it gives you a look within the technology as well. As you can see, it shows that mesh interior that gives you the structure inside the toe box, and then of course it shows some of the structure and that mesh fitting in the back, and it's just really neat. It kind of gives you like an inner picture of the inner workings of the Yeezy. As you guys can see, we've got the speckled white and gray laces, and then of course with the V2, we've got that really nice piping that goes around the edge. You can actually see some of the striping through that piping material, so it's almost like a see-through color. And then of course, looking at the back, you want to make sure your stripes are all perfectly centered and shaped, and then of course you want to be able to see that you have stitching that is very defined and popping out here on the back of the sneaker. Of course, on most of the fakes, you'll notice that the stitching is just kind of hidden throughout the edges, and then going around to the back, as you guys can see, that tab is center located, and then it has white stitching on this particular pair. I didn't actually get to put the flash on these or the black light to see some of the differences there, but one of the things I wanted to actually show you and talk about real quick is the boost. Now let me go ahead and flip this particular pair around. If you look at the left side here, we have all those little circles with the dashes that come through, and as you guys can see, I hope this is focusing. Yeah, it's giving you guys a pretty good view. As you can see, there's a ton of them. So on previous pairs where there was like 6 or 7 circles with the dashes, this one is basically completely covered. Now going over and looking at the right side, you can see here on this sneaker, it doesn't have as many of those circles with the stripes. It almost looks like some of the older models where it has like 6 or 7, and it's definitely not as full. Let me go back and show you guys again. It definitely is not as completely filled with those circles and dashes on the bottom. Now everything checks out. This is the same pair, same box, and those come from Adidas, but I did get a second pair, and this is the pair from East Bay. Now going and looking at the East Bay pair on the right sneaker, you can see once again we've got those circles and those dashes, and they're basically completely flooded through that triangle portion of the boost on this particular sneaker. And then looking at the left sneaker of this particular pair, you can see that's exactly the same. So looking at the left sneaker, it's totally filled with those circles and dashes, and then looking at the right side, we have the same thing where it's totally filled with the circles and dashes. Let me go ahead and put these to the side and bring the other pair back out to you guys again. As you can see, the left pair, this is the East Bay pair, it has a lot less circles and dash structure on the boost at that particular point. And then when you go ahead and you look at the left shoe being from that same pair, it's again flooded with those circles and those dashes. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because I noticed a similar trait that came along with the not the originals, but the restock of the frozen yellow 350 V2. My Yeezy supply pair basically had a bunch of those circles and dashes on the bottom, but then when I got my Adidas pair, they weren't monochromatic, so they didn't have those circles and dashes all the way through. I just wanted to go ahead and let you guys know that that is not something that tells you that the sneaker is not authentic. Things will differ based on the fact that a lot of these areas that are stitched are done by hand, they're not done by machine. So yeah, sometimes, you know, you're gonna have a little bit of a different angle on the tab, or things are gonna, you know, maybe they slant a little bit, but for the most part, when I always talk to you guys about authentication, I talk about looking at the entire sneaker as a whole. So if you see something that maybe just doesn't look completely right, especially with these new pairs, they're doing a lot of new things as far as the NFC chips that they're putting in, and then also too, I'm going to be doing a new video. Nike just recently announced that they're going to be doing some additional things with their UPC codes and their RFID chips, basically a way that you can go ahead and scan those or search those and see exactly where they came from, and that would prevent fakes from coming through on Nike. As we all know, pretty much anything that's done to prevent counterfeiters is usually figured out at one point or another, and then is kind of taken over, and then it's left to, you know, the sellers, Nike, Adidas, and basically left to them to make newer and better technology. Again, definitely something I support. As you guys know, I like my sneakers to be 100% authentic. I'm not with that foo-foo game. But anyways, let me go ahead and give you guys a couple more close-up looks. We've got that really nice striping all the way throughout. We've got that really nice milky outsole. And of course, like I said, one of the big differences is that translucent window on the side, and really, really nice laces with that checkered or spotted gray speckle on the lace. All in all, I think the entire sneaker comes together really, really well. The actual tab on the back here is more of an off-white color, more of that milky color, almost an exact match to the color on the midsole. So that's something to look at. Definitely, as far as authentication, you don't want the white on the actual upper to be the same white as the tab. You want a milky white tab that matches the midsole and the bottom of the outsole. You can see it's got that milky cream color. Going ahead and looking at the inside real quick, of course, we've got the Adidas Trefoil logo and the Yeezy logo as well. Go ahead and give you guys a quick view. Looks like there's actually a little bit of dirt or a little bit of something in there from manufacturing, but as you can see, you've got all those little windows. And another quick note, something that I've found as far as authentication goes, and it does apply with this particular pair, if you take a bright flashlight and you pull your insole out and you flash that flashlight through the bottom of that boost material so that you can see the light coming through the boost material, real boost will have just a white yellowish color all the way through. On the fake pairs, where you see the circles in the boost, they will actually pop out and it will look like pebbles. So when you're focusing the light through the bottom of the boost, it'll look like those little circles of boost are darkened, almost like they're pebbles on the inside of the shoe. And when you flash those through an authentic pair, that's definitely a lot lighter. You can see some of the edges around those circles on the boost material, but you can just tell it just looks a lot better. And with that, I'll go ahead and wrap it up. And like I always say, if you guys are new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. And if you guys have been with me for a while, I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. This would not be possible without you. It's Heat Kicks. I'm out.